And I've placed some buildings on the big platform. The building on the left is a wheels kit which I made a couple of years ago for a southern themed model railway layout. The long building is a ready-made job made by Hornby, and what I've done with that, I've repainted the doors and the wood cladding on it, added some posters and timetables to it as well. My thoughts on this area here on the Minories layout are that it won't remain like this. I just wanted something to fill the gap that's there, which, as you can see, it's quite wide. CJ Freezer's plan shows a station canopy running the length and the breadth of the platform areas. At some point I'll probably have a go at making that. The downside of it is that if you're running the model and you're swapping locos over and you're doing uncoupling and the like, then the canopy itself is going to be a hindrance, even though that was in the original plan. You'll end up taking it off, putting it back on as you swap locos and stock round on the layout. So although I'm going to have a go at building one, it's one of those jobs that's way back down the list. In the sort of short term, I'll replace these. They don't really match in with the regional colour scheme that Minories has got. That's the main station building up here, which is more of a Midland colour scheme when you look at the notice boards and so on. What I'm going to do here, where these two temporary buildings are, is to replace them. Bachmann do a Scenecraft range, and they've got some great central buildings. There's a waiting room and a gents loo, so they will sit quite nicely on that big platform, and I think they'll tone in well with the colour scheme on the terminus building. I've fitted some posters on the retaining wall. I've done quite a bit of weathering at the base of the wall. You can see if the camera pulls it in, it's now got some grimy look to the brickwork at the base. I've improved the fitting of the adverts on the bridge, so I've converted my Yorkshire tea advert so it's got quite a good backing piece to it, and I've given it a light coat of gloss varnish. On the other side of the bridge, I've done a Marmite advert. I've just found some old advertising from the internet and printed it off, and then I've got the backing card and the varnish to work again on it. I've done some weathering with the airbrush. That's to blend in the ballast and the areas around the track work. I've also put a old railway coach alongside the water tower and the signal box. That's a kit that's assembled, made by Ratio, and then I've weathered it, painted it to make it look like it's been there for a long time. It's used by the crews for their mess room and to store things in. If you've watched the earlier videos, you'll notice that the signal box has been changed for this one. It's a Hornby model, and all I've done with that is change the nameplate. I made up the signal box sign using Microsoft Word, and then just printed it off on the matte photo quality paper. I fitted a wall and extended it with some fencing. This is to just make sure that nobody gets caught by the engine, which moves into the coaling stage over here. The other change I've made to Minories is to wire it for analogue. So as it was wired for DCC, I've changed it over to analogue wiring, and the levers here are all used to isolate various sections of track work so I don't get locos moving when they're not meant to. These are the old Hornby 00 lever switches here that you can see. You can see here I fitted a Pico isolating switch. That's on the outside bay. I had to fit some isolation at the end of these two rails as well, and I did that by cutting one rail on each of the two tracks. So there's the cut and the wire that I soldered on so that I could power the rail when I needed to. And I've done the same on the other rail over here. As you can see, there's a cut and there's a white wire soldered to the side of the rail. I use these Xuron track cutters to make the breaks in the rails for the isolation at the ends of the tracks that went to the terminus. This design of cutter is quite handy because you can cut the rail from above. The back seam needed quite a bit of careful cutting. There are chimneys, churches and other high buildings that you have to cut round to actually get the best effect. As you can see, I've added a couple of signs to identify the station. I've made these up on the word processor and printed them off on the matte photo paper. The British Railways font for the lettering is Sans Gill. I've now added the station buildings that I needed to fit in with the Minories Midland colour scheme, and here they are. There's a waiting room, lots of interesting brickwork and relief on this model, which is of the Great Central Station building. And alongside this is the gents' toilet.